If you're a business owner and you want to make the most out of your emails and SMS this Black Friday and Cyber Monday, Kelsey Carson's our director of email and SMS here at Bad Marketing. She's going to break down the 5-phase approach that's proven to drive incredible results. From account optimization to growing your list, these are the exact steps that we use not only for us, but for our clients. And by the end of this video, you'll have a step-by-step roadmap ready to execute and optimize your email and SMS campaign for maximum impact this Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So go ahead, grab a notebook, get ready to dive in, and let's make this holiday season your most successful one yet.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Christian. Super excited to be here and connect with you all today and show you how to make this your baddest Black Friday season yet. And we'll kick it off here with email and SMS. I'll go ahead and share my screen for all of you. Amazing. So like I said, I'm here to help you make your email and SMS bold and bad this season. I know Christian did a really great job of introducing me, but just a quick recap here. As he said, I am the director of email and SMS marketing here at Bad. I started actually in the fitness industry with marketing and transitioned into e-commerce. So it's been a super fun ride. I joined Bad Marketing back in 2021, and since then, just a little less than 2 years, have significantly grown our department, managing about 15 email and SMS marketers. So continuously growing for our team and our brands. Let's dive into it. For today, we're going to talk Black Friday, Cyber Monday, because every year something is different. Something is changing with how early it starts. I'm pretty sure next year it'll be kicking off here in July at this point. The way our customers are engaging changes, the economy. I know people have some fears with it being an election year. We're fighting for space harder than ever. There's new bot interactions and upgrades all the time. So it's super hard to keep up. And that's why I'm here to talk to you today and show you the 5-phase approach that will help you break through all of the noise this season. So our agenda today, just a quick little overview here. Going to give you a look at what we learned from 2023 and how that's helped us formulate our strategy for 2024. Going to show you our timeline and what we've implemented, but also a breakdown of the timeline and how you can take our timeline and place it into your own brand. And then we'll dive into the details of why we're here, which are the 5 phases of that strategy with email and SMS account optimization, list growth, building a bad sender reputation, developing your strategy, and of course, implementing your strategy. So here we go. We're going to start with that quick recap here and how it's helped us. Our 2023 season helped us move into 2024. So a few things that we learned that stuck out a little more last year than in previous years. The key things here are that simple offers played a major role and actually converted the best. The less action a customer had to take, the less complicated it was, the better the offer performed. And if it was a tiered offer or a stacked offer, super clear, simple instructions were very helpful. Leveraging early access helped boost list growth prior to the sales happening. We utilized a lot of resends in email marketing specifically, which played a huge role in driving more revenue with little to no extra effort and really helped brands stay top of mind. And then inserting personalized all text, especially for last chance emails, those had some of the highest engagement last year when done correctly. So we learned those things. We've incorporated them into the 5 phases that I'm about to break down for you here. With that said, average increase last year we saw just with these tactics that I'm going to break down, over 200% increase just by going ahead and applying these 5 phases that I'm going to break down for you. And it wasn't just based on one brand. We work with a variety of brands. So the phases, regardless of whether you are a clothing brand or a jewelry brand or a supplement brand, it doesn't matter. These 5 phases can be tailored to help you and help you grow this season. So let's break down the timeline. First up here. For us at Bad, our timeline starts way back in January. We're doing things all year round with A/B testing, list cleaning, optimizations before we really dive into specific Black Friday things. So again, showing you this overall timeline, but I have broken it down for you in ways that you can take away and walk away from today's presentation and start right now. So just a brief look after that. Starting in August is when things really pick up for us. We're setting deadlines, we're going over strategy for Q4 and really planning out what the entire strategy looks like. And I'm going to help you do that today. We move into September here, where we're doing a lot more of the details, working through some of our phases, creating mood boards, getting final approvals needed, starting to check in and make sure our teams are on the same pages, so that come October, we can implement a couple more of our phases, begin working on some universal content, finalize our strategy, check compliance, and really make sure that our offers are good to go. And of course, reaching into November, we can finalize things, make sure that everything is scheduled. We have all of our pre-launch checklists complete, and we can kind of sit back and watch our brands thrive before we move into that continued big holiday season in December. So a lot happens. This prep really is year round, but we've gone ahead and broken it down for you just into October to December. So today, this is what we're going to cover and how your bad timeline is going to look. It's going to start this week after this call. I'm going to encourage you. You'll see the phases are a little bit out of order, and that's again to adjust with our shortened timeline. You can see we start way earlier in the year, but it's still plenty of time for you to go ahead and adapt where you are right now. So towards the end of this month here, which is in a few days, you're going to begin building your bad reputation, which I'm going to show you how to do, so that come November, you can go ahead and start optimizing your account. There's still plenty of time for list growth that you can implement. After that, we're going to show you how to develop your bad strategy and go ahead and prep things for your pop-ups, your flows, your campaigns, so that you can go ahead and move into your hype prior to the launch and make sure that everything is compliant, your offers are working, and everything is scheduled as soon as you possibly can, so you don't hit any bugs come Black Friday or Cyber Monday. Then I'm going to show you how to make sure you have everything you need in place for launch day so that you can implement the bad strategy we're going to build today and then move into that continued holiday season in December. So a little bit of a more condensed timeline, but it hits all 5 phases that I'm going to show you today. So let's break it down. Let's dive in. The 5 phases we're going to cover today are here for you. So phase 1 is going to be all about optimization. This is all about utilizing the data that you have to audit your accounts and fill in the gaps and make sure that your lists are clean and good to go and ready to engage. Phase 2 is all about list growth, and this is going to be pre, during, and post Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Phase 3 is all about building your bad sender reputation, because this strategy is only as effective as many email and SMS inboxes that it can reach. And then we'll move into phases 4 and 5, which are actually developing and implementing your strategy and making sure that everything is good to go so you can kind of sit back, kick up your feet, and watch that revenue roll in this quarter. So phase 1 is where we're going to start here on the email and SMS account optimization. So what you're really doing here is you're optimizing for engagement. It's super important that you're looking across your email and SMS accounts and finding where there's gaps so that you can go ahead and get the most out of every email and SMS campaign you send. From there, you want to make sure you're reviewing the data, because it's all about your customers and you need to know how they're engaging so that you can apply that to your strategy. And then you're going to make sure that your lists are clean and the people on that list want to hear from you and they're going to actually engage with your brand. I'm going to break down each step for you, starting with auditing your accounts. This is super important because you're about to get a big influx of people through your email and SMS. And if there's any gaps in your automations or your evergreen content, you're going to miss out on that revenue. So it's super important to audit those accounts and ask yourself, what is missing? What's outdated as far as my email and SMS flows? Maybe what lead generation forms are missing or need a little bit of a content update. Where are those clear gaps, that really low-hanging fruit that you can go ahead and fill? Notice which performance metrics are suffering that you can maybe go ahead and up with some more evergreen content. And then, of course, decide where, what flows and forms you're going to need specific Black Friday, Cyber Monday content for. So a few things when you're auditing your accounts, you want to make sure these things here are at a minimum live. So your lead generation, which is typically a website pop-up, and all of your core flows, your welcomes, your post-purchase, order updates, which is super important for SMS as well. And then, of course, your key abandonment flows. There are some additional support flows that are important, but if you don't have your core flows live first, I would definitely focus there. But there are support flows, again, that are good to have in place because you are going to be having a higher buyer frequency. So having things in place like a sunset flow to clean your list, additional cross-sell or upsell flows, win-back flows are all super important. So once they're taking action in the beginning, later on down the road, they can go ahead and continue to be indoctrinated into the brand. So again, you're filling the gaps. This can alter a little bit based on your brand, but really just going in and looking, is every part of that customer journey covered? And if not, making sure that it is prior to that sale launching. After that, you want to review the data, because after all, it's about them, not you. Sometimes we can get hung up on this about brands and focusing a little bit too much on the branding, or a little bit too much on what we expect, which is important, but it's more important to know how your customers are engaging, because if that's not aligned with what we want to do, we're going to miss a lot of opportunities. So make sure you understand how those customers are engaging, what they're engaging with, what's relevant, what your A/B tests from earlier this year have shown, what types of content or designs people are engaging with best, and what's trending in your niche right now, or might be coming up in trending that you can capitalize on with your customers. But really just making sure that you truly understand the people on your list, and what they want out of your brand. A few things, important things to know here, that can help you understand that data are things like your AOV, popular products, how people are resonating with those products, what's driving the most revenue right now in this season, what are your highest engaged segments, are there people on your list who maybe only buy at this time of year? How are you speaking to them? What are your competitors doing, trying to gauge what's on their plate? So really just thinking in all of the details and how that applies to each and every customer on your list is going to be super important, and understanding this so that when we get to the strategy part here in a minute, as far as implementing it, you have all of the content you need to go ahead and develop those campaigns properly. After that, you're going to make sure that your lists are clean. It's really great to have a big list, but the thing is, just because someone is a customer doesn't make them a good email and SMS subscriber. So there are people who are going to constantly buy from your brand, but it doesn't mean they're going to engage with email and SMS, and that's okay. You want your list full of people who are going to engage, because if it's not, it's going to harm your engagement, your deliverability, and it's going to give you a little bit of a skewed look here. So it's not too late to clean your list. I have included 3 segments here that we've even worked on with our Klaviyo reps, of things where you can kind of get a feel for who on your list is engaging or not. This has to do with bounces, but more so on who has engaged on site and who has engaged inside of your platforms within the last year. And that will give you a really good look at who on your list maybe needs a few touch points prior to that sale launching, or maybe who isn't a good fit anymore. So if you're not comfortable with doing a major list clean right now, that's totally fine. But these 3 segments here will give you a good area of where to go and how to warm up your list for that big send on Black Friday, which we'll get to you here just in a second. Next is phase 2, which is our list growth. There are several ways to grow here, as you can see, and you have a big opportunity between now and your sale launch to still grow your list. Well, ideally, you want to start a little bit sooner in the year. You still have plenty of time. So based on this time frame and how people, your customers, like to engage, I would maybe choose a few from this list, just make sure that they're there and helping you grow. So pop-ups, doing things at checkout, utilizing features like open send that capture people who don't engage with the pop-up, on-site form, social pushes, all of those things are going to make a really big difference, because you want your list stacked with engaged people prior to the sale. So there's a few stages here we're going to cover in this list growth: prior to Black Friday, actual Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and afterward. Main key factors here are you want to make sure that you're growing your list as large as possible. And at these stages, prior to Black Friday, we need a lot of engagement. During Black Friday, we can keep it pretty simple, but we want to still make sure you're capitalizing on the traffic coming to your site. And then after Black Friday, we want to make sure that you're remaining bold and keeping your customers buying after they've just come out of a really big spending season. So prior to Black Fridays, you can see a couple examples here. Ideally, this starts a little bit back in October, but you can start that right now. You want to really hype up to early access and create an engaging offer, or create some kind of FOMO that they're going to miss if they don't engage. So it's really important here to go ahead and make it seem like a very exclusive option, and really try to leverage that early access all the way leading up until your sale. If you have a few things live already, quizzes, surveys, things like that, it's great to leverage those, but really just making sure at a minimum you have that on-site pop-up ready to go. During Black Friday, some brands like to turn it off. I encourage you to keep it on. There are different ways you can do this, and it should be simple. It should just reflect the offer happening, but you have, again, an increased amount of traffic coming to your website. You want to capitalize on those emails to make sure that you can engage with them after they make that purchase. They can go ahead and get reminders in those abandonment flows. So super important that you're going ahead and still utilizing that, not just turning it off. You can simplify, but I wouldn't turn it off. You can go ahead and continue to grow your list all the way to the end of that Black Friday season. And then post Black Friday here, you're going to keep things going. You can return to your original offer, but in our strategy coming up, that will cover a little bit more in detail. You can also go ahead and drive more signups after a huge buying term by doing giveaways, surprise refunds, things like that. So it's good to still have this in place, even though it's after the season, to know what you're moving into next to keep people engaged. But you want to keep collecting this traffic all throughout all parts of the sale. Phase 3 is going to be all about building your bad sender reputation. So we aren't going to cover these here, but I do just want to make sure that if you haven't yet, if you haven't done the updates required by Google and Yahoo, or gotten on a dedicated sending domain and warmed it up properly, verified your sender from email, you're going to need to do that right away. I'm not going to cover that here, but they are things that have been introduced to us since last year across the board. So super, super important, because it does not matter how good your subject line is. It does not matter how good your sale is. If you don't land in their inbox, it's not going to convert. So super important that you check that these things are good to go prior to building that sender reputation that we're going to talk about here. So a couple things we'll cover in this phase, making sure your segmentation is prepped and good to go. You have a lot of data, so it's very important that you're going to go ahead and use it. That is important for warming up and re-engaging, but it also makes your life a heck of a lot easier during Black Friday when every single option is available for you to choose from. So we really want to make sure that is on point and prepped for you. And then I'm going to teach you how to warm up to a full list send here in just a second. A lot of brands will just go ahead and send to their entire list just without any warm up. And we really want to encourage you not to do that. While sometimes, once in a while, that hasn't been detrimental to all brands. During this season, it's more crucial than ever, just because those providers are much more sensitive to spam and different complaints. So a few different categories you want to focus on while prepping your segmentation here. As you can see, we have lots of different things to pull from the data for your products, for your buyers, based on your customers. So really making sure you're sitting down and strategically thinking through that customer avatar and who is on your list, and anything and everything in ways that they could possibly engage, so that you're prepared on your end. This next slide is going to have a lot of details on it, but it's just to give you a really big picture and get your wheels turning on how you can prep segmentation. As you can see, there are a lot of list details here, but I just wanted to include this so you can see and get brainstorming on what you can include. So it's not just who's bought, it's who's bought within certain time frames, who's bought before but not recently. Same thing with engagement, or who's engaged on the site, how many times have they engaged on the site, who's recently added to the list, who hasn't bought. As you can see, there are just so many different ways to break out that segmentation. So I really encourage you to utilize this, as well as prep those segments that you're going to exclude from all of your sends, because those are equally as important. And if you're going to screenshot anything on this slide, I would go ahead and look here on the last section, because we're going to talk about re-engaging and warming up to a full list send. And this bad, worst categories here are going to be how you do that, and are going to be what you want to re-engage. So again, there's not necessarily a right or wrong way. I just want to encourage you to really just think out of the box for segmentation and go as detailed as possible. Warming up to your full list send, I've included a timeline here. Again, our warming up process starts at the beginning of October, but I've kind of broken down a shortened timeline. It's not ideal, and you need to make sure that whatever strategies you put in place after today's call are based on your brand and are what's best for your brand. But this is kind of a guide and an example for you. So you want to slowly increase that sending volume leading up to Black Friday. Like I said, servers are extra sensitive, so we want to avoid upsetting them in any way. So to go ahead and warm up here, as you can see, we're going to include those bad, worse segments that I just talked about with some high performing segments strategically. It's kind of where I have those black boxes highlighted for you. We're going to include those strategically, so that will help us re-engage people as well as lead up to a full list send. So on average, maybe you're sending to about 60,000 subscribers per email right now, but your full list is 200,000. You need to make sure that you're slowly warming up by 1.5 times each send. So there's a little bit of math involved. But again, this example here shows you how you're strategically using those segments that you prep to build up 1.5 times each send, and those bad, worse segments play a key role in that. We have an example here, depending how you like to use math. It's totally up to you. There's a few things you'll need to building up that sender volume. That's knowing your total number of active recipients, active being the key word, how many email campaigns you're going to be sending between now and that launch day, and then going ahead and determining what that growth looks like. We like to use Excel specifically to go ahead and help us there, but it's just really the key thing is important is know your average you're sending to now, know that total number of active you're sending to on launch day, and do the math in between. Phase 4, developing your bad strategy here. We're not going to go into the weeds of developing mood boards or solidifying offers, anything like that. Those are all things you want to be on the same page about, but just general reminders. To build your bad strategy here, we're going to go through a few phases on how to strategize leading up to that Black Friday. You want to go into some campaign prep here as well, and then into your flow prep. There's a huge spike again in traffic coming, so we want to make sure across the board you're getting in front of as many eyes as you can. So strategizing for Black Friday is going to come in a few phases here. We have the hype phase, which is just getting people excited, optional pre-sales and early access, then of course Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and then your post Black Friday and Cyber Monday strategy. Here, I just want to remind you again, a really great way to get more out of your sends during these phases are utilizing those resends. We do have brands, as you can see here in this example, last year, resends alone accounted for almost 100K in revenue. So make sure as you strategize, you're including those unique resends in between. So a quick breakdown here of each strategy, starting with the hype phase. These hype emails are going to go ahead and build awareness, excitement, anticipation leading up to Black Friday. They're going to capture the interest of new subscribers and get current subscribers onto platforms they're maybe not already currently on. So email subscribers who aren't on SMS and vice versa. And these just really keep things top of mind. If you're not doing an early access sale, that's okay. You can still remind people, via banners or things like this in your emails to add your actual launch date to their calendar. But really between now and your Black Friday launch, you just want to build as much value as you possibly can to get people excited. A few best practices here, really making sure that you're engaging the right people, you're utilizing social proof, you're providing tips, you're showcasing why you're the better option, and you're teaching people how to engage with your brand, whether that's on social or with wish lists, any of that. So just make sure during this time you're adding a ton of value and really focusing on segmenting to those people who can benefit that we want to win back, VIPs, window shoppers, and things like that. I have provided an example here of what that might look like, your strategy leading from November 1st up until that early access, as you can see. So there are tons of ways to do it, but ideally that early access is leading right into that Black Friday season. Next, you're going to go ahead and move into an optional pre-sale. This is a really great time for you to go ahead and drive revenue prior to your campaign and prior to your competitors. So it's a great time to show appreciation. It's a pre-sale that maybe just goes to an exclusive group like your VIPs or your people on a subscription only if that's applicable to your brand, but it's a great way to kind of also test that offer. So this is optional. If you don't do it, making sure you're continuing to send those hype emails out. But if you do, it is a really great way to drive some revenue earlier on in the year, but just keeping it very exclusive to those VIPs. Best practices here, same kind of concepts, keeping things short and direct, making that offer super visible, testing different versions of those sales, making your content super relevant to those that you're sending out to, altering campaigns if you need to. And then again, sending to VIPs, which differs for each brand. You have to decide who that is for you, but making something super exclusive. This sale is just a few days long. I, again, have provided a example strategy here of making sure you're utilizing resends, you're sending out the right amount of content over the course of 2 to 3 days to really hit those VIPs and drive a little bit extra revenue. After your pre-sale, we're going to lead into early access. Again, here, totally optional. Similar to the hype phase, this is something that builds a lot of engagement and builds a lot of anticipation. It's a really great way to leverage SMS and other platforms. And just like the pre-sale, if you're not doing one, you can continue to send out reminders and education. But it is something that drives a lot of excitement prior to, especially when you leverage SMS. We've seen a really great, as you can see here, almost just off of one SMS alone, about 100K just by leveraging and giving people who are just ready to shop right now a little bit sooner access to your sale. With that, similar to any of the other things, we want to make sure that we're sending this out maybe 24 to 48 hours early, really keeping it hyped up. We want to make sure that things are short and sweet. We have a very condensed list of subscribers we're sending to if we've leveraged that, and that we're reminding people during early access, even when it's going on. You can encourage those not on the early access list, make them know that they're missing out to really increase list growth still prior to the big sale. You can utilize SMS, leverage apps if you have them, all of those things. So really just making sure you're strategically thinking through if that early access can drive, again, a little bit more revenue and take away a little bit of that pressure off with competitors. After early access, that will lead right into your Black Friday sale, which is a really big one here. A lot of brands are starting earlier, but actual Black Friday is on the 29th. So really your main goal here is just to cut through the noise. You want to be bold, you want to be disruptive, and really segmentation is going to be huge here. So making sure that you're staying top of mind with lots of emails, lots of SMS, and standing out in customer inboxes. What's going to help you here is being short and direct and engaging. If you want to avoid sending delays, you're going to make sure that you are going to ahead and scheduling things well in advance. You've warmed up to a full list send. So on that full list send day, you're going to be ready, you're prepared, you're going to gradually send out to that entire list. And then if it works for your brand, you can also incorporate Small Business Saturday. Segmentation, we've kind of covered that here, but you're going to be sending to the full list and everything in between. We really want to make sure we're strategically segmenting and avoiding common send times on the hour or on the quarter hour. So this can look a variety of different ways. The main goal is every day we have something in the morning, something midday, and something in the evening. So you're always staying top of mind. After Black Friday, we move into Cyber Monday, which is a very similar strategy as Black Friday. You're either keeping the same offer, it's a continuation, or you're launching something new. So strategy is still very similar. You want to go ahead and send to those people who are engaging, really condensing those reminder emails and staying top of mind as well. So keeping that same offer or launching a new one, it's totally up to you. A few tips here, making sure that you're strategically segmenting, especially if your offer is the same as it was for Black Friday. And then you continuing to tailor that segmenting up until the very last day. And of course, depending, you want to make sure you know ahead of time if you'll just be Cyber Monday or if you're doing an extension. Most people are going to do about 2 days, but there is either way, you want to make sure you have that morning, middle, and evening send. Lastly, post Black Friday here, just making sure that you're capturing anyone who missed out on your sale. You don't have to do this, but it is optional and it's a great way to continue people into the holiday season with a deal that's a little bit less than that Black Friday, but it still is getting those people who maybe didn't buy or have a little bit of FOMO. And it can also lead into your shipping deadline. So while it's not Black Friday, it's super important to know what's coming next. Last year, prepping your campaigns, almost finished. Now that you had that strategy with those approaches from hype all the way down to post, you want to make sure that you're laying it out clearly for your team. You have the data, you have the strategy. Now you can make them work together and really lay them out in your system of how you're going to target people strategically. Know your end dates, know what's focusing on what, know what the visual hierarchy is and how you're going to engage with customers to make them want to engage, not to feel overwhelmed. Knowing where your reminder emails fall into place and understanding the strategy, the full picture. So as you can see, we do a lot here, but it's super important to have that strategy laid out once you have that data. After that, you're going to go ahead and prep those core flows, cloning your flows, creating certain versions, making sure that you're ready to go, and that all of those gaps are filled. With those flows, a couple things here, you guys know I'm going to go through these quickly. We have going ahead with your welcome flow, making sure you should all have this live, but making sure it's being sent immediately and it's reflecting those Black Friday offers. You may want to adjust slightly, but it's very important as your list grows that you have these in place and they represent that Black Friday offer. With that comes your abandonment flows. So making sure that these flows are in place to capture those traffics, whether they're on-site, browsing, adding to cart, abandoning checkout, making sure that your time delays are shortened just a little bit. And that same thing. These are the same as all your other flows, which is why I won't go into too much detail. They're just like they are now, but all you're doing is swapping out the offer for your Black Friday offer. Your browse abandonment does the same thing, using lots of dynamic fields in these emails, as you can see here, to go ahead and show people what they're leaving behind, ensuring that all those window shoppers get the proper reminders. Cart and checkout abandonment will remain the same, but again, maybe just include a timer and we'll switch to your Black Friday, Cyber Monday offer as well, staying super short and concise here. Lastly, your post-purchase is something you'll want to take into consideration of offering an additional offer if possible, just because this is a great time to convert them and give them a chance to come back and shop after. We noticed that about 15% of customers buy again within a few days of their initial purchase. So it's a really great way to get them to come back and buy and say thank you and convert them a second time. And that's it. You're then ready for the big day. After you've prepped all those flows, your campaigns are scheduled, you're ready to go ahead and implement your bad strategy on launch day. You're just going to go ahead and check all things here, making sure everything's scheduled, everything's tested, so that on launch day, you can go ahead, kind of kick up your feet, make your flows and pop-ups live, and just watch that revenue roll in for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So that's it. That's our recap here, making sure your top priorities are covered. You're checking all of the things, your sender reputation, optimizing for list growth, solidifying your sales, auditing for opportunity, and then going ahead and making your Black Friday Cyber Monday content live so that you can launch your bad sale. And that's all I have.